The One Chicago franchise makes a controversial decision ahead of fall return. NBC is making more changes to the One Chicago franchise as preparation for the production of the new seasons of Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, and Chicago PD get underway. Every broadcast season now comes with some alterations to the long-standing format of network TV, as companies try to cut down on production spending. One Chicago has seen these changes in the last few years, from reduced screen time for series regulars to fewer series regulars in a given show. Now the network is trying something different as budget cuts continue to decimate the medium. Deadline reported that the seasons will come with reduced episodes. Contrary to the regular 22-episode season, this fall season will have 21 episodes for each show. This is not a significant reduction, but it could be a sign of what's to come. The real impact is felt when this development is combined with other recent changes that have been made. As it has been for the past 2 seasons, series regulars in the One Chicago universe are getting less screen time. Normally, a series regular would appear in most, if not all, episodes in the season. However, the shows have been cycling through main characters, writing some out of an episode to minimize production costs. It has given rise to the character-centric format, where storylines are built around one character while others take a backseat. Meanwhile, some shows, like Chicago Fire, have lost series regulars due to budget constraints. The cumulative effect of this would naturally be less screen time for characters, which could impact the show's overall feel. Whether this will happen when One Chicago returns remains to be seen. The same report reveals that various leads from all 3 shows have signed on for more episodes after contract negotiations. On Chicago Fire, Taylor Kinney, Miranda Ray Mayo, and Dermot Mulroney will return in their full capacity. Everyone else's fate hangs in the balance, as showrunner Andrea Newman said, while teasing some major turnover in season 14. She said, "We're going to have a lot of turnover and a lot craziness going on in the CFD from the top, where people are being cut and moved, and everything's going to get shaken up next season." On Chicago PD, Jason Bay has also signed on for more episodes, while on Chicago Med, Esapatha Merkerson and Oliver Platt will continue serving at Gaffney. Apart from Mulroney, who joined Chicago Fire in season 13, everyone else has been with their respective shows for a while. One Chicago continues on Wednesdays on NBC this fall. In a move that has sent shockwaves across fan forums, social media platforms, and even internal NBC hallways, the One Chicago franchise, comprised of Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and Chicago Med, has made a bold, controversial decision ahead of its anticipated fall return: a full-on crossover freeze. That's right, no multi-show storylines. No team-ups between Firehouse 51 and Intelligence. No medical emergencies turning into crime scenes. For the first time in nearly a decade, each show will exist in its own siloed universe. And fans, let's just say they're not taking it lightly. The ice-cold crossover freeze. According to insider reports, showrunners across all 3 One Chicago shows were instructed by NBC executives and Dick Wolf Television to reestablish core identity and deepen internal storytelling. Translation: no more mega crossover events for the foreseeable future. Instead, Chicago Fire will focus on its engine crew drama. Chicago PD will follow Intelligence in its morally gray crusade. And Chicago Med will operate in its high-stakes ER bubble, all without sharing a single hallway or trauma bay. While the decision may seem rooted in creative integrity, behind the scenes, sources say it's more about money and contracts. Coordinating crossovers across 3 massive casts, union departments, and writers' rooms is an expensive, exhausting endeavor. Scheduling conflicts have reached a fever pitch, especially after the DOGGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes pushed timelines and forced logistical overhauls in 2024. Something had to give, an anonymous producer reportedly stated. Crossovers are great for ratings, but hell on production. What's the point? The cast burnout is predictably, loyal viewers have not embraced the news. On X, formerly Twitter, the hashtag #SaveOnaChicago crossovers began trending within hours of the announcement. I watch LL3 shows because they intertwine, one user posted. You're telling me Jay Halstead could be shot in a parking garage and Crockett Marcel wouldn't even show up with a tourniquet? Another popular meme circulating the fan community shows Firehouse 51 trapped in a burning building with a help sign while Voight and Sharon Goodwin walk past, sipping coffee. Some fans are even threatening to boycott the fall premiere altogether if at least a single cameo isn't slipped into early episodes. Cast response: divided, but candid cast members are reportedly split on the decision. Jason Begg, the brooding face of Hank Voight on Chicago PD, shared a diplomatic view during a fan Q&A. Crossovers are fun, Begg said, but sometimes you've got to let a story stand on its own. I think we'll still surprise you. But Miranda Ray Mayo, who plays Stella Kidd on Chicago Fire, let a little more frustration show. I love working with Tracy Spiridakos and Nick Gelfus. We've become real-life friends because of those crossover days. It sucks, I'll say it. It sucks not getting to collaborate with the whole family. Rumors are swirling that some actors were blindsided by the decision and are now renegotiating their contracts to include language about guest appearance guarantees, just in case NBC changes its mind mid-season. What this means for storylines: writers now face the challenge of raising the stakes internally. Without external characters to swoop in and assist, plots need to be more self-contained and, arguably, more emotionally resonant. Chicago Fire will reportedly focus heavily on Kelly Severide's return and the fractured leadership dynamics left in his wake. Stella's patience is fraying, and Bowden may face pressure from city officials, without any help from law enforcement friends. Over on Chicago PD, the upcoming season is said to dive deeper into Voight's moral decay, with new additions to the team challenging his authority. And this time, there's no Dr. Charles from Med to offer psychological insight. As for Chicago Med, sources tease a season anchored around a viral outbreak that pushes the hospital staff to its limits. But don't expect Detective Upton or Officer Ruzek to walk in chasing a suspect who started it all. This time, the docs are on their own. But is this really the end? Here's the twist. Some fans are theorizing that the crossover freeze is a PR stunt designed to lower expectations before a surprise mid-season mega event. After all, the 200th episode of Chicago Fire is rapidly approaching. Could it really air without any of its sister shows joining the celebration? Additionally, marketing materials for the One Chicago Wednesday block still emphasize the trio as a unified brand. Shared promos, combined key art. Even the fall premiere teaser was voiced over by one narrator, weaving all three show logos together like they always have. In a recent interview, executive producer Gwen Sagan offered a cryptic comment. Just because we're not crossing over on paper doesn't mean the characters don't still breathe in the same city. Cue conspiracy theories. A new era or a mistake. Whether this shift marks a creative renaissance or a grave misstep, one thing is clear. One Chicago is at a crossroads. Fans will have to decide whether they love these shows for their core stories or for the intertwined universe they've come to expect. NBC has bet that individual loyalty will win. But if the fall ratings don't hold, don't be surprised if Firehouse 51 gets a surprise visit from intelligence. or if Will Halstead walks into Chicago Med for a one-night-only cameo. Until then, we'll be watching, separately. TLDR. NBC has paused One Chicago crossovers for fall. Fans are furious. Cast is divided. Storylines are going deeper internally. But a surprise mid-season event? Never say never in the Windy City.